Well, hello, dear viewer. 'Tis Unclejona here once again, trying different beers and hopefully entertaining you whilst doing so. And we're trying to finish off some of the Beer 52 books, editions, magazines. Uh, Ferment, is it? What's it called? Yeah, Ferment. There we go. And we're doing this one today, another one from the Celtic nations. And we're doing one from Fierce Beer, who are there, well, actually there, which is in Aberdeen, up in Scotland. And that's about it, because there isn't an article on them, which is unusual because there is a definite kind of, how should we say, deal? Is that too harsh a word? Between Fierce Beer and Beer 52. And I've had quite a few of their beers before. It's a bit of a love-hate relationship because I've had some god awful beers from Fierce Brewing, or Fierce Beer, I should say. And I've had some that aren't so bad. But this one, hopefully, they'll get right. Don't see why they'd get it wrong because it's a very traditional style. So there we go. Oops, see if we can get it to focus on there. Fierce Beer. Come on, my dude. Why don't you focus on there? There we go. And it's an 80 shilling or an export strength Scottish ale at 5.6% on the ABV. And what this means, the 80 shilling that's supposed to mean is, in old money, that's how much a barrel of this beer will have. So this is an export beer. So I think it's 5 to 6%, something like that. And then over 6% is 90 shilling or wee heavy, which is, yeah, can get serious. But we're not there today. We're just doing the 80 shilling today. And as I say, brewed in Aberdeen since 2016. So not that old, but not too bad, not too bad. Scottish export style. Dark malts with our yeast, caramelly and berry aroma, mellow malty finish. We've got some lovely information here. A traditional Scottish beer style, updated to take advantage of modern ingredients and techniques. Okay, fair enough. 5.6% on the ABV. Friendly to vegans, although maybe vegans aren't friendly towards beer, but who knows? What have we got? Have we got anything in there? Oh, we've got wheat and oats in there. Interesting, considering this is meant to be a traditional style beer. But why not? Oats definitely, because they are the Scottish thing. And Fierce Beer usually have got a nice Scottish theme. So look at that kind of traditional kind of. It looks a little bit. It's not a tartan, but it looks a little bit like it could be on the wall of a Scottish pub or ale house or something like that. Interestingly, there's some German hops in there. We've got Mittelfrüh, and we've got Summit as the other one that's in there. So interesting. Right. The only thing is, I've been squeezing this, and it's very taut. So I'm going to give it a slight pressure release, just so I don't want it to explode everywhere. Yeah, cool. There we go. That should be enough. Yep. And it didn't go everywhere, which is brilliant news for me. And alas, not entertaining for you. But never mind. Let's get this bad boy into a glass. Scottish styles tend to be quite sweet, and yeah, they can be quite sort of toffee, chewy, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I told you this one was quite carbonated. Whoa! Look at that bad boy. Wow, that is ridiculous. I might have to come back to drink this one, but let's see what we can do with that. Look at that lovely, lovely kind of conker colour. This is not a nucleated glass, but look at those bubbles, some huge bubbles there. Look at that one. Oh, I wish it would focus on there, but there's some massive bubbles running down the middle here. So that means they'll disappear hopefully very soon. But we do have like an iceberg sticking out of the top. That's very much a European kind of style thing. But let's do a picture with that because that's ridiculous. And we'll put that down in the bottom there. We'll hold that up there and we'll give it one of those because that's crazy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is cut the video and miraculously, with the click of my fingers, we'll have a beer that's easier to drink, hopefully. So, 1, 2, 3, boom. And there we go. That's the best way of getting rid of head on your beer. Use a little bit of magic. And look, you can already see there is an incredibly fat, thick tide line right at the top. Let's get into this beer and see what we can get. Look at that. You can see how big the bubbles were by that foam. Ridiculous. Right, like all Scottish style beer and some really traditional British English beers. Sorry, Scotland. That's crazy because Scotland is British at the moment. Anyway, oh, I'm talking nonsense already. Yeah, there is a sort of what we used to call a strawberry kind of beer, a sort of really fruity berry, um, yeah, kind of aroma to it. There's also a sweetness there. There's also a maltiness there, and there's a hint of kind of whiskey, which is interesting. I always think, and this beer is not very strong. 5.6 is not too strong, but I think there is a substantial link between obviously barley drinks, so beer being one, whiskey being another, um, and they're kind of the way the barley works into the aroma. It's interesting. Sometimes you've got a whiskey, especially single malts, but you don't have to have a single malt, and you sort of smell the glass. It sometimes triggers things that start smelling a little bit like beers, especially in Scotland. Mm. Right, chin chin. Let's dive in, dear viewer. If you haven't done so already, consider joining the Jonorami. But can you just tick the like down below? I'll wait for you. Click the like. Cheers and beers. Oh. Interesting. Um, so it's not heavily hopped, or not in the strictest terms. I would say a lot of the hops here have gone into the boil. They're using Mittelfrüh, which is predominantly like a lager hop in an old ale. But then, weirdly, links between Scotland and certainly Belgium, and perhaps Germany, exist. And things like yeast and stuff has gone beyond those countries, whereas in England, not so much, which is quite interesting. And that kind of still holds true today. But yeah, German hops in there. There is quite a lot of bitterness from the hops, and it kind of washes your mouth, but also gives you a nice amount of bitterness. The sweetness, which I was smelling on the aroma, it is there, but I thought this beer would be a little bit sweeter than it is. Um, but no, this definitely sits on the kind of more bitter side of things. Um, and it's kind of like a pint of bitter with a kind of German influence to it. And obviously from the head, it's a kind of more of a Belgium head. So I'm not sure if it said what the yeast was. It just said ale yeast. So not sure. That's on the back of the can, which I showed you earlier on. If you want to see it in focus, rewind the video and have a look. Um, but yeah, there's that definitely that kind of berryness, that bitter style. So it's like a strong bitter. But then Scottish beers, wee heavy is the strong one, but export or 80 shilling ale definitely has its own style. It really does. Um, I would say usually it's a little bit sweeter, but this is meant to be a modern take on it, so yeah, it's not claiming to be fully traditional, shall we say, and definitely didn't cost 80 shillings. There is, even though it's not really sweet, there is that kind of toffee flavor running through, and a hint of kind of cakes, Christmas cakes type dry fruits as well. Um, there is that berry thing, and it's not, oh, this is definitely a blueberry or this is definitely a raspberry. No, it's not like that. It's a generic berry thing going on, which does come from the malt, from the hops, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same way as a dry hopped pale ale, which goes for a certain style, like tropical, etc., etc. This is just giving a more kind of berry, fruit cakey type, like a boozy fruit cake, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, there's no raisins, there's no, you can't pick out individual tastes. It's just running through. And then the cake itself is kind of like a sweet toffee pudding type thing. A plum duff, maybe. Um, what can I say? The weird thing is it's creamy too. That's the other thing. Because it's got the wheat and oats in there, obviously it's going to have a bit of cream to it. But it's like a kind of cakey cream with cream on top. But again, it's not, the flavors are a bit muted. It's not, it's definitely an old ale, an old style ale, shall we say. Um, but yeah, things are running together. And at 5.6, it's not too bad alcohol wise either. So this is a good thing. The only problem is it's the small cans, which Beer 52, they used to send out 440s and occasionally a half a litre. But these days, and don't forget, they're from Edinburgh, they're from Scotland too. They're scrimping a little bit, and it's only the 330s that we're getting at the moment. If you're getting them from America, you might get 350s, and Australia's got its own size, which is, I can't remember. Is it 360, something like that, or maybe I can't remember. But each of those countries has its own thing. But definitely the UK, which includes Scotland, don't forget, is 330, which is a real shame because we could do with some bigger ones. But maybe that's just me being greedy. Who knows? Wow, it is well carbonated, as you saw from that head. And there we go. Look at that, running down the back of the glass like cream, like double cream that you poured on your Christmas pudding. Really, really nice. In fact, you can get brandy cream. You can buy. I don't know if you can still get it, but definitely around Christmas you could get brandy cream. There's a boozy cream kind of thing. Um, I guess in a similar way to Bailey's is, but it's not that strong. This is kind of like a beery or a whiskey cream. Mm. But again, it gives you that lovely creaminess. So there we go. I think I have to say I would prefer a wee heavy to this one, to the export. But if you can get hold of one of these, dun, 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 let's get it in front of me. There we go. The Fierce Beer export Scottish ale. There we go. Yeah, the 80 shilling, 5.6% on the ABV. I don't think you'd be disappointed. It's a very traditional style, this one. And I don't mind that. I think that's quite nice, especially when you're going further afield, especially when you're going to the Celtic nations. I think I've only got a couple more of these to try, and that's another one of those off the list. I'm going to have to do the beer of the box soon, so I'm going to have lots of videos where I'm not actually drinking beer, but maybe I'll do a review and I'll do a review of the box separately. I know, dear viewer, I know I've been saying this for a while, but I'll definitely get some new content out with regards to that. This has been Uncle Jonah. Uh, Saying shalom to you all, and guess what? I'm going to return with another beer review real soon.